Hi guys, thanks for joining. And welcome to our webinar on the new environmental data portal. So the couple of people that have just joined, would one of you be able to put through a thumbs up or something in the chat just to show that you can hear me all right and hopefully see my screen as well? Cool, thanks Tapua. Awesome, thanks Stephanie. Um, Brilliant. So my name's Susan Wells. I'm the team leader of the data systems team at ORC. So my team's been responsible for getting this data portal up and running along with the help of a few other people. And then on the webinar today, we've also got Simon Wilson, who's the manager of the regulatory data systems team. So we're just going to do a bit of a demo of the new environmental data portal. We'll do a couple of slides first to just explain a bit about what it is and then launch into a demo of the live portal. So because this is a webinar format, we ask that you just put any questions or anything that you have in the chat, and Simon's going to be keeping an eye on that throughout, and he'll stop and interrupt me at an appropriate time if there are any questions, and he knows sort of what's coming in the presentation, so he might wait until it's a decent time before bringing your question up. But yeah, feel free to put questions in throughout it, otherwise we'll have time at the end as well. So firstly, what is the environmental data portal? So it's a copy of the council's internal environmental monitoring database. So everything that we have on our internal database can be displayed on our external web portal. So it enables the council to share both water quantity and water quality information. And it also allows us to share all of the information we have rather than just the most recent data. And that's going to replace the council's existing water info website. So hopefully you guys joining have a bit of an understanding of the current website and are fairly familiar with it. But I will just go over what it currently looks like and what the new one looks like as well. So hopefully this is fairly familiar to you, but this is just a screenshot taken from the current water info or water monitoring and alerts website. Shows the map, which doesn't have a huge amount of information on it, just kind of flashes when there's something in alert levels, but doesn't provide any actual context to the data when you're looking at it in that sort of view. On that website, it's mostly just flow, rainfall, and water level data. There's a couple of additional things, but not a lot of other information, and some very static images of the last 7 days and up to 180 days worth of data. If you're familiar with the website, then you probably have a fair idea that it can break every so often, and there can be delays in the data coming through to it as well. So the new environmental data portal includes water quality and quantity data. So the amount of data that we can display on it increases the number of parameters that we have showing. Yeah, is more than the old website. Once we've shared a site and the data set, then it shows the entire historical record for the site. So far more than just the last 180 days for some sites. We have records dating back 80 years or so for some sites, so all of that is available on the data portal once it's shared. And users can download quality approved ORC owned data. So once the data's gone through a process internally where we've validated it and quality approved it, it can then be downloaded by the user. We also share data from other providers such as whenua, Environment Southland and Environment Canterbury. So Environment Southland and Environment Canterbury, particularly rainfall data on the boundaries of our region. This data is available to be viewed on the portal, but because we don't own that data, it can't be downloaded. So the historical data sets are still there to be viewed. And then another big part of The new data portal, that's a big benefit to it, is it connects directly into our internal database. And so the data is generally only about 5 or 10 minutes behind when it comes into our system. Whereas the older system could take up to sort of half an hour or so for it to come into our system and then feed out to the website. Initially, with the setup of the new data portal, we've just tried to focus on the data that we have previously been sharing on the old website, but we are adding to this over time, and it's a tool that we're continuously developing, so we will be adding more parameters over time. So a couple of screenshots here from the new data portal. This one here is showing rainfall over the last 24 hours during the flood event that we had back in July last year. So you can see here the map provides a lot more information just at a glance for what's going on in the region. So this one you can see there's the legend on the right hand side of the screen, shows the amounts of rainfall, but you can see that it was a very coastal rainfall event. And then you can track that throughout the event as well and see how it was moving a lot more than you could on the old website without clicking through lots of sites. We can also see from the flow map a very similar thing, so you can see all of the sites that are in flood warning levels at the time. And it lines up pretty well with what was happening with the rainfall. So we've also created some dashboards on the new portal that we have tried to replicate what's on the old website in the most easy to use way possible, and provide the context of the alert levels and things that we had on the old website as well. So things like minimum flows and flood levels, having lines on them to show those levels. So I will launch into the data portal now and do a bit of a demonstration of how it all works. So when you first access the data portal, you'll land on a welcome page like this. It has some information on this page about how to use the portal. So we've got links to a user guide and a getting started guide, also a how-to video, which should cover a condensed version of what we're going through in this, but also some links to some maps that we've set up. So sort of one type of user that's used to using the old website to just view the latest flow or rainfall information. We think this is probably the best way of getting to that information is to click on either the flow or the rainfall maps here, and it takes you to a map that we've set up with appropriate legends and things. So at a glance, you can see the latest information in the region. So we have, again, the legend on the right-hand side here showing, the meaning of the coloured dots. So for flow information, we're looking at above and below medians, any sites that have low flow alert levels or flood alert levels, have those loaded in as well. So you can see at the moment we've got 2 sites that are in low flow levels, and those are showing up as the yellow dots on the map. So from here, it's pretty easy to go to a location on the map. So you can click on any of these dots. You can zoom in and out on the map as well. You can click on any of the dots and it pulls up this little summary box of information, which gives you how long of a record we have for the site, and what that latest data point is. So this one here, the end of record is 5 p.m. today. And I will just mention that this is all in New Zealand Standard Time. So at the moment, you have to take an hour off what the current time is. And then we've got the latest value on here too. From this summary box, you can click onto the location tab, and that'll take you to a summary of the site, which tells you all of the data sets that we collect at that site or that we've made available at that site. And then you can click on this tab up here to go to a water info dashboard that we've created to replicate what's on the old website. So here we've got information about any notifications, so technical difficulties or rating changes happening, and then alert levels for the sites. If you scroll down, we've got a graph of the last 30 days of the flow, and then another one of the last 180 days. So a little bit different from the old website in that we're displaying 30 days worth of information here rather than just the last 7. And we've mainly done that so that we can provide that context around alert levels and things. These graphs you can zoom in and out on. So if you just click and drag over that, you can zoom in. You can also reset the zoom. And we've chosen to display the last 30 days on this rather than 7 days, just because the graph auto scales. So we were finding that for some sites, if you were, say, below minimum flow for more than 7 days, it automatically zooms in and you no longer see that line anymore, so you don't really get that context to it. And again, the same with the 180 days, you can zoom in and out on that too. If the site had any rainfall information, those would be displayed in this same dashboard as well. So again, last 30 days and 180-day graphs. These dashboards have unique links to them. So if you're the kind of person that would normally go to a specific site and have that favorited or bookmarked, then you can take that link and you can save it as your new bookmark and go directly to this page and just refresh that whenever you want to see the latest information. So that's one sort of use case, I guess, for the portal and how we expect some people to use it. Another one, if we jump back to the map, we've got the rainfall map loaded. I'm going to show you a bit more about what you can do from the map. You can explore the data a bit more from here and then go into data sets and things. So first up, when we land on the rainfall map, it lands on the last 24 hours of rainfall. And you can change this here by clicking on the select value, and you can choose to display up to the last 7 days of rain or month to date. So if we click on the last 7 days, that shows the total for that 7 days. And you can see we've had a bit more rain throughout the region over the last 7 days than we have in the last 24 hours. So you can see we've, yep.
Sorry, Susie, I'm just going to jump in. We've got a question there
Mhm.
asking if the data set's only available up to the end of 22, for example. Does that mean there's no newer data, or will that be uploaded later? So I think the answer to that, Stephanie, is whatever's showing in the date is the latest point of data we've got. So some of our data is captured sort of every 10 minutes, and you'll see that uploaded. That shouldn't be saying 2022 on it. That should be uploaded roughly every hour. But some of our monthly sampling rounds might still be showing a date back in 2022. So there depends what kind of data it is, but every chance there's more on the way. What you might see is some of those black dots there, which are no signal, which means we've got a problem with the site. So they might be down for a little while.
Yeah, and that's a good point that Simon makes. So we sort of have two sets of, or two types of data that we have coming through to this portal. Some of that is continuous data where we've got sites that are set up and logging, say, every 5 minutes, and they're sending that data through to us. Around about every hour we get that data coming in. So we have a fairly up-to-date record for those sites. So that's mostly the water level, flow, rainfall information that you're used to seeing on the old website. But we also have water quality information that is just a sample is taken, say, once a month mostly. And once we have that result in our system, it gets loaded up onto the web portal. So that data can be up to a couple of months behind because we have to wait for that information to come back from the lab as well. From the map view here, you can change parameters. So as I just mentioned, water quality information. Let's just jump in and have a look at the E. coli data as an example of that. So this is one of the ones where we do discrete sampling of it. So this shows the latest value that we have for E. coli levels at these sites. but it's probably quite important to, if you're looking at a specific site, select the site that you're looking at. So if we zoom in and click on this one, click on the dot for it, and then you can see this end of record one here shows you when that sample was taken. So this one here is from last month. And it will be updated next time we have information for that site. So is probably been sampled again, say this week or next week, and then once we have that information back for the lab, that'll feed through into here too.
Sorry, just to jump in again, Stephanie. So the key thing with this, though, is this is 5 to 10 minutes behind our internal systems. So this is the most up-to-date data that the council has.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Cool. So from here, if I just jump back into the flow dataset for a second, and we click on a site. So I showed you before that you can click on the location to go to those dashboards that we have set up. Another way you can use the portal is you can click on this dataset button, and it will take you directly to the full dataset for the site. So by default, it'll land on a couple of days, but here you can change this, and you can select to display as much or as little data as you want. So say you're interested in what's been happening at that site this year, then you can select yearly and apply that. And it will show you, this is showing us this year, so there's only a few months of it to start with, but you can then scroll back through the years if you want to. And here you can load the entire data set if you want to. I'm not going to do that in this demonstration because as you can see, the more data you try to load, the slower it gets. And from this, you can also zoom in and out on the charts as well. These charts and all of the charts actually that we show on the portal, we have this carpet underneath them, these two lines showing the grade and approval level. So there's some information down the side of the screen that, yeah, a bit of a legend for those, but you can also find more information about it from this help menu. There is the user guide that gives you definitions of the grades and the approval levels, but basically the grades are the quality code that we've assigned to the period of data. So the field techs will go out and check that a site is operating as it should and that the data is matching up with some checks on site, and then they'll come back, process the data, make any adjustments that are necessary to it, and assign a quality code and change the approval level of the site. So we work to the National Environmental Monitoring Standards for these quality codes. But yeah, you can find more information about that in the user guide. And yeah, they sort of sum up what each of those codes mean. So QC 600 is the highest quality data, and then 100 is when there's gaps in missing record. We also have the approval level line on this, and that dark green bar means that the data has been approved, so it's gone through the whole quality assurance process. When it's in that dark green state, you can download that data if it's ORC's data. Anything that's below that level is still being checked and worked on, so that's not available to download just yet. And when I say download data, you can get to that from in this dataset view. So you can go to this export tab here, and it gives you some options for the data to download. So you get to choose the date range that you want. It defaults to the entire record, but you can select whatever you want here. You can do a custom time range if you want to. And you can choose to download the data either as the points that are recorded. So in this case, that would be the 5-minute data points. Or if you're interested in, say, the daily mean or the hourly mean, you can select that in here too. So let's say select the daily, and then 1 point every day. It gives you the option to choose your conversion. So say you want a daily mean, you'd select the average there, but you can also select the minimum or maximum, whichever you're interested in. Then you've got an option of either exporting it as a CSV or Excel format. And we highly recommend that you tick yes for including the grade codes in the download. It just provides a bit more metadata with the data set that you're downloading. And if you want to ask any further questions about it, then you can send those through to the data team. Then you click download and it will download that data set to your computer. I will just say, so I mentioned that you can email us for any further information. If we go back to the welcome dashboard, we do have our email address listed on this. So yeah, click here to get that email address. And yeah, if you have any questions about how to use the portal or the data that you're looking at, just feel free to send those through. And we're more than happy to help out. So if I just jump back to the map. So this is a good example. I have been messing around with the amount of data that I'm displaying. So what it's done here is it's broken the legend settings that we've got for the flow information. So if this happens and you want to get back to those legends for the context around the information, then what we recommend is going back to the welcome dashboard, or we have a parameter menu and we have links to the maps back in those. If you click on that link, it'll land you back on that default view. And has, yeah, all of the colored dots again. So I just briefly touched on that. We have this parameter menu, which gives a bit of a definition, description of all of the parameters that we're displaying on the map. So from the map, you can select any of those, or you can go through the parameter menu and you can click on any of these links to get to those maps and see a bit of a description about them as well. So we recommend that as a great place to go exploring from. We also have a few other dashboards that we've created to replicate some of the information that's on the old website. So these latest lake and river levels, summary tables, and latest rainfall information. That should, for anyone that's familiar with the old website, look fairly familiar. It just shows the latest data point and some information about what it's been doing in the last hour, if it's increasing or decreasing. You can see that some of these ones are going down. You can click on any of these sites and it will link you through to the dashboard that we have for them. And yeah, we've got the same for the rainfall summary as well, so up to the last 7 days worth of data there. Again, you can click through to the sites as well. And then if we just go back to the welcome dashboard, like I said before, if you want to send through any inquiries or any information about anything, we've got links for our email address here. And I think that's the basics of how to use it. Simon, jump in if I've missed anything.
No, I think you've covered everything, Susie.
Cool. Do we have any other questions that have come through?
No, not so far, but if anyone's got any questions, now's the time to put them in the chat.
Cool, all
Oh,
quiet.
can't see anyone
Oh,
typing.
here we go. Got one coming through now. Oh, we've got one from Stephanie. Are there any information about the instruments being used? That's a good question. We don't currently have information on that on the portal. I guess if you have a specific data set that you're interested in and you want to know what the instrument is that's being used for it, best way is probably to send us an email and we can look into that and get back to you. We do have in the location dashboards for sites. Sorry, back on this summary here. We have some information about what the site is, but potentially in the future we could look at including information about what instruments are being used. Quite a few sites we have multiple different instruments being used though, and we sort of use whichever one has the best information coming through at the time. So yeah, possibly best way is just to email us and we can let you know that. Thanks. Thanks, Tapua. Yeah, we think this is a great improvement on the old website and just allows you to see a lot more of that information. So it's good to see that, yeah, it's of use to people as well. So thanks for that. All right, anyone got any last questions? Otherwise, we might call it there. Cool. I don't see anyone typing. So thanks everyone for coming along this evening and joining us. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, if you have any further questions, then just reach out through that email address that's on there. You can find links to this new portal on our old website at the moment. All of the pages on the old website have links through to the appropriate pages and dashboards on here. So yeah, just get in and explore and let us know if you have any questions or anything. Thanks.